All right, we now move to the concluding lesson from Act 1 of The Tempest, and here my focus is on the kind of questions that you are asked for your examination. You have two varieties of questions: the reference to the context questions. You will get three reference to the context from the entire text, out of which you have to attempt any two, and each question is worth 10 marks. And you get two subjective questions from the Tempest, out of which you can attend one or both. That depends on how prepared you are with the questions that are asked. So for Act 1, I have put down a set of quite a few reference to the context questions for you to practice. I have solved the first one for you to give you an idea of the kind of answers that one looks for, because you must remember that unlike your ICSE Merchant of Venice, where you had to write a lot of details in your answer, this there are no much of detailing that is required for the Tempest, because here the answers are worth one or maximum 2 marks. If you remember, your Shakespeare answers were about 3 to 4 marks each of them, and you had to write a lot regarding the questions that were asked. Right? So you have to be very precise with your answer, and that's why I have solved the first one for you. The question is from the sample ISC 2019 paper. All the questions are from Act 1. So Prospero says, be collected, no more amazement, tell your piteous heart, there is no harm done. You'll get a substantial uh, number of lines, so that it's not that you have to identify where it is from. It will be very simple for you. So Miranda replies, oh woe the day, Prospero, no harm, I've done nothing but in care of thee. Of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father. Right? So who are Prospero and Miranda? Where are they at this moment? If you see the answer, Prospero is the erstwhile Duke of Milan and Miranda is his daughter. That's your first part of the question. When they are in two parts, remember, please separate the two responses. Don't write. I wouldn't put they next to the daughter here. I'll leave this line blank and start it on the next line. They are on an island in front of Prospero's cell. Second question, why does Prospero tell Miranda to be collected? Uh, Prospero asks Miranda to calm down. Collected means to calm down, and not to be distressed on seeing the plight of the ship and its passengers, as no harm has come to either of them. The Tempest, I put a next line, 2 points I'm giving you because it's worth 2 marks. The tempest which he has caused by his magic has not harmed even a single hair of anyone on board the ship. So she need not be anguished. Because it's 2 marks, I have put these 2 points in detail. Got it? The first one was worth 1 mark. So you have half mark for Prospero, Duke of Milan. Miranda is his daughter, so one fourth half, and the other half is being the island and in front of the cell, one fourth half. Got it? 1 mark. Third question. What does Prospero do before telling Miranda his story? Why does he do so? What does Prospero do? An action, not tell or say. What does he do? That is, you have to be very careful of the wording of the question. Prospero removes his magic cloak. What does he do? So he removes his magic cloak and lays it beside him before telling the story. That's what he does. And why does he do so? This is a clear indication that he now is speaking to Miranda as a father and not as a magician. He's going to tell Miranda about her past that she had always been eager to find out, and he had not been ready to divulge till this moment. So this action is removing of the cloak that changes his appearance from being a magician to that of a father. So now you have the father speaking to the daughter, telling her of the past that she always wanted to know. Very precise again for the full 2 marks. Got it? Let's see the fourth question. What does Prospero mean when he tells Miranda that she is ignorant of what thou art? Miranda does not know the reality of their status, as her knowledge about them is restricted to the island and their sparse living on it. That's all she has seen, remember. So she believes that her father has no worth except being on this barren island and in a mere cave. So he's nobody. He's a very ordinary man. No worth. Not worth anything except being on the barren island, being a father, and in a mere cave. Right? So you have no idea of what thou art. You have no idea about your standing. You have no idea about your position. Fifth question, what had Prospero's position been before coming to this place? Remember, do not give the answer to this question in the previous one. You have to be very careful. Who was responsible for his condition? Prospero was a Duke of Milan before he was thrown out of his dukedom. Right? Who has caused? As Prospero wanted to spend time with his learning and books, he had handed over the responsibilities of running the state to his brother. Little did he realize that his brother Antonio would prove to be so untrustworthy to usurp Prospero's position and declare himself as the true Duke of Milan. Excuse me. So you see, you're writing very clearly what he was and what happened as a result of that and who was responsible. You can't just write Antonio, you have to give the situation. And the last question is always the meanings of word piteous and care. And piteous in the passage means compassionate, and care means a benefit of some use. These are not, I mean, you could use any other word. Instead of compassionate, you can write empathetic. Instead of the care here, if you see the sentence here, but in care of thee, that is for your use, you can write instead of benefit, which will help you. Fine, the meaning has to be conveyed. Got it? So very precise and very clear. And if you see the marks, it is 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. So the first and last is half meaning, and the first one is half mark each, and the rest will be 2 marks. Okay, excuse me. Right? So you get a feel of the answer. I've done the first one for you. I've put the 2020 board question here. The marking scheme is there. They're very precise. And all the questions, I've got question 2 here. Then question 2 is, this blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child. So this is from Act 1, Scene 2, reference to Caliban. And here was left by the sailors, thou my slave, as thou reportest thyself, was then her servant, talking to Ariel. And for thou wast a spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands. Refusing her grand hest, she did confine thee by helping of her more potent ministers, and in her unmitigable rage into a cloven pine. It ends there. At times you needn't get the full passage, right? And the questions will be very direct. What leads Prospero to talk about the blue-eyed hag? So you see the circumstances. What I would like you to do is, see, I don't want to give you sample answers for all of them. I've given you the first one. It's for you to work out the other answers. If you need my help, you're most free to get in touch with me about how to write the answers. You could write the answers and I could give you a feedback for that. But that's some other day. Question 3 is about the bosun and his passage of none that I more love than myself. Very important, Act 1, Scene 1. You have again the 6 questions with the same marking scheme. The 4th question is Miranda. Again, a reference to the first question. You have often begun to tell me what I am, but stopped and left me to a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay not yet. The hours now come. So it is in continuation of the beginning of Act 1, Scene 2, right? Again, the same 6 question, the same marking scheme. Question 5, Prospero, here a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business, which now is upon us. So you know Prospero Miranda, again, Act 1, Scene 2, following the earlier 2 passages. And question 6, Prospero, follow me, speak not you for him, he is a traitor. Come, I'll manacle thy neck and feet together. So this is the last part of Act 1, Scene 2, with when Ferdinand is come and he is meting out the punishment to Ferdinand, and he's telling Miranda to follow her. Yes. Uh, so again, you have the 6 marks to those and the 6 parts and the 10 marks each. And the final question: come on, obey. Thy nerves are in their infancy again and have no vigor in them. So again, reference to Prospero and Ferdinand. Yes, and so you see 6 questions with all the marks, right? Now let me move to the essay type of question, where there's only one. Critically analyze the opening scene of The Tempest with close reference to the text, right? So critically analyze. Remember, you just can't give a summary of The Tempest. Please, please, please do not write summaries for your answer. You need to prepare the answer. So I put a few points to be kept in mind. Setting. Remember, you cannot but do away with the setting. A ship in distress, the general havoc around that has been caused by the tempest, that is the setting, right? Then you come to the characters, the role of the bosun. Handed responsibility to save the ship by the master. He was intent upon his work, he was mindful only about his work, not concerned about anything else but to save the ship and to save his life. You can put an appropriate quote here if you wish to. Remember, all your essay questions should, close reference to the text means you should have 4 to 5 relevant quotes. Relevant, mind you, just don't put a quote for the sake of putting a quote. If it's not relevant, if you put a quote here, it is related to what he says, none that I love but more than myself. Now you see, this is a quote that is so apt. Now when you talk about a quote, it is more than 2 or 3 words. It needs to be one line or a full sentence, right? So, do you know who you have on board? Gonzalo asked. None that I more love than myself. These 2 lines makes a brilliant quote, right? So you could use the quote here to make it appropriate. So after Bosun, we come to Gonzalo. Gonzalo is also concerned about survival. See, Bosun and Gonzalo that way are similar because both are concerned about survival, but working towards it, right? For Gonzalo, his king is important for him, hence his concern. Yes, he keeps reminding about who Bosun has on board. But while Bosun depends on toil and hard work to save the ship, Gonzalo depends on hope to save the ship. Why do I say hope? Because he says the bosun has the hanging mark upon him, so he cannot drown. And that is the hope that he is holding on to till the very end. He hath no drowning mark upon him. Yes, he keeps saying it. He hath no drowning mark upon him. An appropriate quote again, which you can use here, right? Okay, then authority is a very important theme. Critically, it comes out. Yes, introduced as a challenge. Authority is introduced as a challenge. What is real authority? That is the question. Is where does it come from? Does authority come from just your position, or does authority come from the need of the hour in this context? Yes. Here it's very clear. The bosun is in authority, but is he the actual person with authority? No, it is the master. But the master has abdicated his authority. So we cannot question. Sebastian and Antonio had no right to question the bosun, no right to be churlish to the bosun, no right to be rude and insolent, no right to call him names that they do. Yes, because it goes against, like I've written, the very precariousness of the scene. The bosun is the one who is directing the other mariners. Yeah, briskly, come on, astride, pull the rope, pull the topmast, bring it down. He is the one who is actually saving the ship. So Sebastian and Antonio, at this point in time, showing their authority because they belong to the court of the King of Naples, actually is not the people who have the authority here. There's only one person who has authority, that is the bosun, because authority depends on the need of the hour, right? So you can, what happens in the need of the hour? A teacher leaves the class, monitor, you have full authority, right? And that's the authority that has to be enforced. So authority, the theme of authority is very important in the first scene, right? And I've put the point down. The Tempest has a dual role, very important, yes. The upheaval in nature, the actual tempest that is taking place, the lightning, the thunder, more severe than Jove's own lightning and thunder, and the upheaval in human behavior and responses. So there is an upheaval in human behavior also, right? The tempest, because of what has happened in nature, man behaves in a different manner. You look around, what has happened? Isn't there an upheaval in nature? And aren't we behaving very differently than what we always do? Don't you see a change? So, what has the tempest here caused in the upheaval? What kind of upheaval has it caused in the lives of the men? It has actually revealed the truth of these characters. How has it been revealed? By the way they speak. You know that Bosun, for him, work is the only uh, worship. That's all he needs to know. He's going to work to save the ship. For Gonzalo, he is diplomatic. He's a counselor. So he protects both. He says, yes, uh, he does not tell Sebastian Antonio that let the bosun do his work. What does he tell them? He said, see, he has no drowning mark on him. He has to be hanged because he's so insolent. So he's accepting the fact that he's insolent. So it doesn't sort of anger them. Yet he's very calm with the bosun. He said, I know you are going to good. I know. Please remember, the way he talks, it's very evident that he is extremely diplomatic, yes. But what happens to people like Sebastian and Antonio? They lose. They are people with false pride and false bravado. So they lose their cool, they lose their calm. They're only cursing and abusing all through the scene. So the tempest does cause an upheaval because it actually reveals the truth of characters, right? So the last point which I've written is Master, who has abdicated, Bosun, who is single-minded in purpose, Gonzalo, who is hopeful and diplomatic, Alonso, who is mild, he just comes once. Where is the master? When he knows the master is not there, fine. He's given up. Either he's given up hope or he decides this is not the time for me to interfere, he goes back. Knows his position because he's true nobility. He is the king. He knows his position. But Sebastian and Antonio are false pride. They are wannabes. They wish to be the king, right? Antonio has come upon his dukedom. He's not born the duke. So there is false pride and they are churlish in their behavior. So remember, all these points need to be covered. A few other pointers: always address the question in the opening paragraph. Look what the question says and address it. Do not have a generic start that you use for every answer. I mean, suppose this question was, I've given analyze the opening scene of the Tempest with close reference to the text. So you could begin the opening scene of the Tempest. It's very simple. Suppose the question was, the Tempest in the opening scene serves a dual purpose. Critically analyze it. So you can't say that the opening scene of the Tempest refers to the same as you started the first one with. So here, dual. So you have to have the reflection of the word dual in your opening line of in the opening paragraph, in the opening sentence. So always address the question. Do not have a generic start. You have learned some answer and you learned by rote and you're just regurgitating it and putting it on paper. Don't do that. Then each answer should incorporate 4 to 5 relevant quotes embedded. It should not just be for the sake of quoting, I'm quoting. No, it should be a part of your answer. If you wish to quote from somewhere else, which is relevant, opening scene from another Shakespearean play, it should be relevant, but and perhaps be a part of either the introduction or the conclusion. When you're talking about themes, you can't be doing it in the action of the play, because action of the play you should quote from the play itself. So whether if you're introducing a theme or introducing a big idea of what Shakespeare believed in his drama, then it's different. Please, 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 I should have included the point. Please do not write a paragraph on the author. We don't want to know about William Shakespeare. Fine, that's important. and see that your sorry, it should be your conclusion. Sorry for the misprint. See that your conclusion always addresses the main premise of the question to make your answer complete. So your conclusion should always answer, uh, bring, to make your answer complete, it should go back to where it all started, and then your answer will be complete. Remember, this is worth 15 marks. That is a change. You all must have, till last year, end of class 11, those who are now in 12, you all have done a 20-mark answer. Honestly, it doesn't change much. It really doesn't change much, because you have to write the same matter, you have to show the different facets of the question, you have to elaborate on the points, you have to put in your quotes, you have the same amount of time. That has not changed, it's still a 3 hours paper. So do not go by the marks, go by what the question requires and the different aspects of it, right? So you have all the reference to the context to work upon. I've given you one sample, I've given you points to the essay type of questions. That concludes Act 1 of the Tempest. I shall move on next to Act 2 within a couple of days. Till then, stay safe. See you all soon. Bye.